Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Vitardi with SafetyHQ and Foundation Software. Today, we're going to be talking about reducing job site accidents during busy season. This is a live webinar where we're going to be reviewing the software, some options, and some things that we can do to prevent those accidents that we discussed. As this is a live webinar, please feel free to ask questions up in the top right. Folks will be muted during the presentation, but if you do have those questions, we'll get to as many of those as we can at the end. We'll certainly get through any questions that we have that are asked during the presentation, but if you need anything else, such as a personalized demonstration or would like to connect with a member of our team, contact information will be included at the end of the presentation as well as a follow-up email. As you know, Foundation Software has a portfolio of different software solutions that can help you with whatever you might need out in the job site or back in the office. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about Safety HQ. As many of you guys know, August is one of the most dangerous months of the year when it comes to construction accidents and job site accidents as we work through busy season, as the weather heats up, as our workforces get larger. So, we will be talking about those today. We're going to be talking about specific safety factors that are impacted during busy season. We're going to be talking about some other kind of eye-raising statistics that may have you reframing how we approach our workforces during the busy season as well too. We're going to talk about how we can handle proper training and compliance. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at Safety HQ and how it can help with those types of items. So, as many of you may know, obviously the summer is one of the most dangerous months for construction companies in worksite accidents and fatalities. More specifically, though, August in particular is the most dangerous month for fatalities, construction related injuries, and that's all related to a Department of or a Bureau of Labor Statistics report as of last year in 2024. Falls account for 38 to 39% of all construction fatalities. The most occur in August as well. Obviously, August typically tends to be one of the hottest months of the year, so we'll see the largest number of heat-related incidents in this as well too. So, while June may be Construction Safety Month, it's a big focus as everybody gets back out into the field. August tends to be a time where we see more accidents and injuries and require an additional layer of attention paid to how our team is proceeding in the field and paying attention to those safety practices. You'll also note that late in 2024, there was noted 11% rise in construction fatalities over the previous year too. So while we continue to spend more time and effort on safety-related compliance items for construction companies out in the field, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting better at those as an industry. So, continued focus, continued effort on these types of things, and most importantly, continued and strong practices on our safety processes are going to be key to reducing those numbers and hopefully getting those going the other direction. So, why is August typically the most dangerous month for construction companies? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Weather extremes are a big component. Obviously, the heat certainly ticks up in August as we get in a lot of the Midwest and areas that experience, really seasonal fluctuations. Addition to that, you're going to see a lot of other items related to workforce, enlargement. So when we get larger workforces, maybe folks that are a little bit greener, don't have the experience to work with your team out in the field. They may not be as focused in or dialed in on safety practices. They certainly don't have the experience that maybe the rest of your team does that's with you throughout the rest of the year. So that could certainly lead to a lot of accidents as well. And then fatigue, whether that's physical or mental fatigue. You get into the dog days of summer, you get into the back end of summer. I know we put a big emphasis on it, with Construction Safety Month in June and a lot of changes that occur right when we get into the heat of the summer. But by August, a lot of those things, if we don't keep up on them, if we don't keep focused on a lot of those safety practices, they can start to fall off. So the team gets more tired from working longer hours, pushing to meet some of those deadlines on seasonal projects. And then, the team's just a little bit more fatigued as far as not focusing on those safety specific items that we really put an emphasis on the beginning of the year. So keeping those things in mind throughout the entirety of the summer and using a lot of practices, which we're going to discuss here today through Safety HQ, are really key to keeping your team safe throughout the entirety of the summer, especially through August and September before we get into the fall. So, with that said, obviously, we have a number of reasons on why we need to focus on safety and why, the summer can create a lot of additional issues. What we want to focus on today is how we can prevent those injuries, how we can prevent those accidents, and how we can be a little bit stronger on our practices and our procedures with the team. One of those ways is including and implementing a software. So today we're going to be talking about SafetyHQ. We'll be displaying this from the laptop today, but this is an app that can be used on iPhone, Android, tablet, what have you. Pretty much the same experience in either or. Really, the only difference is the menu bar is going to go from the bottom to the side on a phone or a tablet. This is fully available in English and Spanish. This works in offline mode and online mode. So if you are working in an area with limited cell service or things along those lines, you can still complete all the safety tasks that you need to. And then those will sync up automatically when you return to internet or cell service as well. So there's a lot to cover here in Safety HQ today, but at least the first area to get started in is always typically toolbox talks. This is an area that everybody should be spending some time in. So even if I talk to some folks that we don't do much in terms of safety as a whole, toolbox talks may be the only thing that they're doing, but it's at the very least a good place to get started. So Safety HQ has a number of toolbox talks in here, 300, 400. There's quite a few. You can add your own toolbox talks in here. We can help you include those as well too. We have award-winning support located in Cleveland, Ohio. They're all actually OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 certified. So if you do have any questions, they will be able to assist you along the way. You're certainly not on your own at any point in the software implementation or regular usage. But when it comes to toolbox talks, it simply comes down to me selecting a topic. Now, if I'm a foreman or crew leader, I can just begin doing this by hitting this big yellow, cannot miss it, easy to find, easy to use yellow button. But what I can also do is I can go ahead and share and assign these out to folks in advance. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select foreman and crew leaders. I'm going to schedule this toolbox talk either immediately or on a scheduled date. So I'll go ahead and schedule this off for the future, maybe next Monday at 8 a.m. Great. I can schedule as many toolbox talks as far into the future as I'd like, and my team will get those notifications at the date and time that I've selected. As for those toolbox talks, once that time and date comes around, I select that topic. Again, hit my large yellow button right here. I can pick my project directly out of here, and you'll see all of these fields have an easy type selection. So it'll be, as soon as I start typing, it's going to give me a predictive search to find projects or whatever I might need. I can hit next. I'm doing this as a foreman or a crew leader, but this can be done on an individual basis. If that's the case, just ignore the attendee part below. But in this case, the foreman's going to collect that signature and select the signatures of the employees that are on that team as well. So I can go ahead and select a few of those folks here as well too. Great. This part's very flexible as well. I see people take photos of their groups. I see them just select names from a dropdown. I see them just collect signatures. I like to do a little bit of both. This is the strongest record should we ever be audited by OSHA. And this does show an emphasis on focus from the team, right? Doing these toolbox talks on a regular basis, typically and ideally weekly, shows the team that, this isn't just a focus at the beginning of the summer in June when, where we're getting into this. We're following through on these throughout the summer. So in order for your team to stay mindful of these safety practices, you need to be mindful of enforcing these and keeping these processes moving throughout the summer as well. So, and here we've collected those signatures, obviously discussed the toolbox talk with the team, and I'll hit submit. That's it. We don't want to lengthen the time that your team has to spend on this. We don't want to burden them with safety activities. We want this to naturally fit into their daily processes and procedures in the morning. That's simple and easy for them to collect. That's automatically going to be saved on the employee record here. So I'll go ahead and just select Alex as an example. I can see every toolbox talk that he's ever attended. Additionally, we can take a look at that toolbox talk we just completed right here. Great. It's fantastic. And I can go ahead and see a copy of that here as well too. So you'll see this would be branded with your company name, logo, colors, what have you. You could email these off to whoever needs to review these as well. Additionally, you can sort and review these toolbox talks by project, date range, who submitted them, topic, company division, whatever you need on the right-hand side. So they're easily accessible, even if you need to get them 4 or 5 months from now. And then I think most importantly, how do we make sure that the team's actually doing these toolbox talks on a regular basis? Well, we have some reporting for that. So you'll see here, I want these done once per week. I have administrators doing those, but you could set up whatever role you'd like. My team's not doing a great job so far today, but I'm doing good. I'm on top of things, so we can kind of see which ones I've completed. We can send notifications off to the team who has not completed those items. We can notify a manager and loop them in if the team needs an extra kick in the rear end or something along those ends. And then also on here, we do have some additional graphs and tools to see how people are doing from a big picture perspective. So this is particularly handy if your team is doing some things along the lines of like an incentive program or things like that as well. So. Yeah, there's a lot here. The biggest piece is making sure that you're doing this on a regular basis. When it comes to keeping the team engaged and focused throughout all of the summer and throughout your whole year as a whole, you need to keep up on this. If the team's not doing their toolbox talks and they're not hearing anything from you, it's pretty apparent that that's not a focus area for your team, for management, for ownership, whoever that may be. And obviously, safety is going to start falling off. And it's the same with anything else: safety, quality of workmanship or craftsmanship. If you stop focusing on it, and if it's not important to you, the team is not going to make it a priority for themselves as well. So that's the first area. Toolbox talks are a great way to get started. It's a great way to kind of dip your feet into the safety area if you haven't done much safety at all. What we'll also see a lot more of, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this as well too, whether it's a JHA, a site inspection, a lot of general contractors are asking for more of this on a regular basis. So what we have in SafetyHQ is a fully customizable forms area, right? I just have some example forms for us to review here as we go. But keep in mind, we can put in copies of your forms, maybe a form that a GC needs. Maybe it's something different that we don't need in here. We also have some really strong templates based on specialty and trade that we can help you get started with as well too. So we got a lot of examples in here. But as customizable as these are, they're all going to share some components, and we're going to look at those here in a moment too. So as far as keeping the team focused and safe, a really good practice is to do a regular job site hazard assessment, a JHA, maybe an AHA, maybe a JSA, depending on what type of work you're doing. But this is going to work the same way as what we just reviewed on the Toolbox Talks. You're going to hit this big yellow button. I'm going to select a project. Great. Work through this, and these are all customizable forms, right? So any of this can be changed to match what you guys need, what you guys do. In this case, I'm just going to select setup and load of materials for the day. From there, it's going to highlight only the hazard types associated with setup and load of materials. I'm going to select fall protection and environmental hazards. You'll see here I have some particular fall protection concerns here. And I'm going to go ahead, and since we're kind of talking about summer related concerns here, we're going to focus on some of the biggest environmental hazards of the summer and hit next. And now you'll see it's only showing me the controls, or, how we're going to resolve this based on what I've selected. So the team doesn't have to go through a lot of unnecessary if thens, coulda, woulda, shouldas. This is keeping them focused on what they're dealing with on the job site for that day or for that job. They can make the selections that they need to, select the controls, stay focused on what they need to from a safety perspective, and continue moving on with their safety processes and with their day. In here, we can also take photos. I'm on my laptop, so we're just going to grab some of these stock images as an example, but you could take a photo directly from your phone, tablet, whatever device you may be using. You'll see here, again, this is just a fun stock image that we can see here, but we can mark this up however we need. We can highlight particular concerns if that's the case as well too. Again, I'm just kind of scribbling here to give you an idea. But this photo process can be used on site inspections, behavioral inspections, whatever you might need. We can use voice to text for things like the comments. And then this signature element's going to work the same way as what we just collected on the Toolbox Talk side as well. So I hit submit and I'm done. Again, this is very key, especially in the summer. We talk about mental fatigue, we talk about physical fatigue. We don't want them to have to jump through too many hoops on the safety side. We want to get them into what they need to focus on for the day, complete that task, and that way it's top of mind as they proceed throughout their working day and working week. Now that JHA, it's going to be saved just like the Toolbox Talks we just reviewed. You can see who it saved, who submitted it, project, date range, company, division, what have you. I can pick one of those. So I think this is the one that I just completed. Great. I can see what was done right here. I can PDF this if necessary as well too. So I go ahead and select that. Again, going to look very similar to what we just saw on the Toolbox talk side of things as well. Great. If I need, I can report on this in much the same way as well. You'll see now I want foreman doing this once per day versus my weekly Toolbox talk requirement. So I can go ahead and make that selection. You can see how the team's doing in real time, keep them on top of that. And again, show that you are still focused on this as we get into the later parts of the summer, back end of the year as well too. So that's just one example of the many types of customizable forms we can create in here. Another being job site safety evaluations as well. So you'll see here, big yellow button. They'll save the same way. They'll report the same way. They'll produce the same way. So I won't bother you with showing you all those again, but we will highlight a couple of these areas to give you some different feels for some different questions that you may have as well. So you can go ahead and see here. I make my selections. And I can go through this, answer whatever questions I need. And as you'll see here, I don't know, let's go ahead and pick fall protection as an example. Great. If I'm not dealing with safety harnesses for the day, I don't have to worry about it. Perfect. If I am, okay, I have some additional questions for you. So again, keeping the team very focused on what they need to deliver on and what they need to do throughout the day, not wasting their time with questions that just are not relevant to either the job site they're working at or the type of work that they do. But let's say we run into an issue and we do need to focus on a particular area, right? Let's just say that there's no first aid kit on the site. What we can actually do is highlight these corrective actions in here directly in the inspection or observation as we go. So you'll notice one of the biggest issues that we have with folks not actually highlighting deficiencies on the job site is because, well, if I see this issue, then I got to call so and so, I got to email so and so, they got to do all these things that are keeping them from their daily tasks, and it keeps them from reporting things that maybe they see as minuscule or don't need as much attention because of all the administrative work that they have to do. We keep it really simple in Safety HQ. There's no first aid kit on the site, or it's not well stocked. I hit no. We can prompt a corrective action directly in the observation or inspection. We can tag this. This is going to be really handy for our record keeping later so that we can make informed decisions on our safety practices. And then I can go ahead and maybe assign this to somebody. We can have that pre-populated as well if you want that to go to like a safety manager or something like that. Take photos just as we highlighted before. I could even put a due date on there, some things like that. But the biggest thing is this will go ahead and notify all of the parties that are going to be responsible for that. But I can continue right on through with my inspection. This system's going to handle all the logistics of notifications, record keeping, all that kind of stuff on my behalf. So really handy. As I work through here as well, one of the big items, and maybe the last items that we'll show you on forms here today, is equipment inspections. This is one of those things that certainly falls through the cracks when we're looking at our safety programs as a whole, especially when we get later into the year, when we get into the brutal summer months. Is, well, you've been doing equipment inspections daily. It certainly gets exhausting by the time you get to August or what have you. Doing a regular equipment inspection is not only required in many cases, but it's a really good practice. And as far as preventing injuries and accidents, it also keeps the team mindful as they begin to prepare and utilize that piece of equipment as well, too. So yes, we want to make sure that that piece of equipment is in good working order. But secondly, and maybe more importantly, we want that employee or that crew member to be focused on that piece of equipment and the concerns and the hazards that come along with operating that piece of equipment. And doing a regular inspection certainly gets them in that state of mind and keeps them focused as we proceed as well too. So you can go ahead, same big yellow button, really easy to use. Again, that's the focus. We cannot make this difficult to use on your team, or they're just simply not going to do it. We realize that. That's why we focus everything in Safety HQ on ease of use. I can highlight a couple of companies, divisions, select that piece of equipment. Great. And I can proceed with my inspection just as I showed you on the other ones. But the big thing that I'll highlight differently from the equipment inspection is because I picked this piece of equipment right here, what I can do is I can actually go to our equipment hub in Safety HQ and see anything equipment related. So if I want to go to a particular piece of equipment, as soon as I complete that inspection, and if it's the the DOT pre-trip and post-trip, we can keep those in there for you as well. But it will automatically set that last inspection date for us. It'll automatically set the next inspection date for us if we have a regular cadence that this piece of equipment uses. We can see who that piece of equipment's assigned to, what project it's on, and then we can click into here to see any history related to that piece of equipment. Whether it's inspections, repair requests, you name it, we see everything equipment related directly in here as we go. And we also have the ability to go in and review these items by what's overdue, by manufacturer, by status, by inspection interval. You name it, we have it all on the right-hand side. We can dig in there and do what we need to do. Now, whether it's equipment inspections, site inspections, what have you, we can utilize those corrective actions to produce effectively a to-do list of things that we need to address on the job site. While it's easy to highlight what the issues and deficiencies are, it's a whole nother animal getting those things completed. So again, this kind of ties back into the same thought that we had as far as if safety is not a priority to you, it's certainly not going to be a priority to your team members in the field. And if we highlight deficiencies or if we see issues on the job site and we're not getting those addressed, that certainly shows the team that safety is not a priority for them or for the company at large if we're not getting things addressed, getting things fixed, focusing on those safety areas. So the best way to do that is through this corrective actions area. Again, we saw that through the site inspection, but this will automatically create effectively a to-do list of things that the team needs to address. We can see anything that's assigned or open. We can go in here, mark these as completed, add notes, take additional photos, maybe reassign it to somebody else if necessary. But then we can also sort these. We can save these based on who's using this. So if you have a garage manager or an equipment manager, maybe they only want to see any equipment related issues, or they only want to see things that come from equipment inspections or repair requests. I leave mine at just assign and open tasks. But if I do want to see us by high priority, low priority, whatever, company, division, group, you can narrow into this as much as we need, but it'll give you an idea of what is still outstanding and what we need to address. Hopefully you and your team are right on top of these things, getting them all completed. But if not, we have a really good way of tracking some details in here as well. So if I go back and I select, let's go ahead and pick like a nice date range to select in here as we go. We can get some good data to see leading indicators. We can see we're having a lot of PPE related issues. You can see trends, analysis, all that kind of stuff as we go. So not only are we doing these safety related activities, we can be better by learning about what we're actually getting from there as well. So it's hard sometimes to see what we need to focus on if we're doing these on a daily basis. Tools like SafetyHQ are going to help highlight those patterns and areas that we certainly need to focus on as we continue as well. So those are just a few things that we can highlight: forms, corrective actions, toolbox talks. We also have the ability for safety data sheets to be accessible for your team. We have almost 4 million records in this database, quite a few of them as we go. You might not need all of those. We can certainly limit this by manufacturer or things like that as we go. If you have an SDS that we don't have for whatever reason, you can simply request it. We'll get it sourced for you at no additional charge. But rather than the team having to find the binder on the job site, sort through that binder, especially when something happened quickly and needs attention, it's an easy predictive search. As you see, I kind of start going from there, and then I can pull up that safety data sheet in real time, make it accessible for the employee so that they can get whatever information they need from that safety data sheet as well. So we do make this pretty accessible for the team. We don't charge you per user license on this. You can set up whatever roles, administrative rights, or what have you as you need. It's a company license collectively to kind of help you focus on that. So this SDS can be available to really anybody who has access to SafetyHQ, which is certainly not limited by any kind of financial barriers by any means. As we continue on, continued education is really key. I know a lot of folks really focus on getting their training done in the winter or in the early spring before the job site really starts getting crazy and hectic. Continue on those lessons and practices throughout the summer to show that that is still something we need to do. It's a good break for the guys too, especially when you get a lot of really hot summer days and maybe you get a rain out one of these days. Focus on that safety attention. It's something that they can bring to the job site with them while it's relevant, while they're doing those activities in real time. So we have a lot of lessons and trainings in here, but we can also include your lessons and trainings as well. You can put those in there. Our team can help you do that at no additional cost. We can categorize these as necessary. We can include things like videos, images, whatever. And you can go ahead and actually assign these trainings to groups from your team. And then you can get that full OSHA verification of knowledge transfer and actually have them complete a quiz and review that information as well too. So as you'll see here on the certification side of things as well, as soon as we complete that lesson or training, that is automatically going to set that that date completed for us, and it will also set that expiration date for us as well. So you'll see this is this expires in 2 years. It'll automatically mention that for us. But I can go ahead and actually search for particular training types. I can include images of cards or certificates here as I go to make them accessible to the team. I can actually go and sort this by, hey, show me who's expiring or whose trainings are expiring in the next 60 days on first aid CPR because we're doing a training on it. Or if I need some people with particular training classes to work on a job, I can search for that and review that here as I go. We can set up customized warnings as well, so you can be notified in advance of those items expiring. So it's pretty handy to keep your team on top of it before they have to go be retrained entirely. And we can also add certifications separately. So if you get those done from a third party, we can import those. It's really simple and easy. You can either do it through an Excel file or key those in. Even the tools we have in here to help you key those in are simple and easy. You can even do those as a one-off as well too. So if somebody completes a drug screen or something like that in the field, we do have the ability to go ahead and review these certifications and get those put in here for you. And then lastly, when it comes to certifications, if I want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and just pick Bill here as an example. I can go to a particular employee or I can go to a particular training type. In this case, we're just going to go to the employee as a whole. And I can share his certifications through a QR code, produce a certificate. I can even email these off as well too. So really easy to actually share these certifications, review what people have, and I can actually share that at the certification level as I go to. Now in here, you'll see next, photos, projects, and workers. These are really good places to see anything related to, you'll see I got a lot of stock images in here, but the really good examples, if I want, hey, what's going on with this photo? This needs attention. I can go back there, see exactly where that came from, who took that photo, what project it was on, and get all that audit information. Some people actually even use this area for some daily reports or just progress photos and things like that too. So it's pretty flexible as we go from there to get you and the team what they might need. Projects and workers, we've already kind of seen those as we go. It's going to be a roll up of everything project related, or we go to that worker or employee. We'll see all their certifications. We'll just do this one more time just to give you a feel. You can see any certifications they have, any Toolbox talks they've attended, their language preference when using the app, because again, this is available in English and Spanish. And then we can see any equipment that they're assigned to, things along those lines as well too. Documents is a quick one. We have full document storage in here as well. So if you did want to put in your safety manual, you could do that. You can also tie documents to pieces of equipment or projects. So it's a good place for equipment, best, reference guides, best practices, manuals, especially for folks and things that are not using things on a regular basis. Really handy to have those on that piece of equipment saved in SafetyHQ. You can also save things like safe entry plans and things like that on a job site as you go. No limits on documentation or storage in here as well. So very flexible on how you might want to use this feature. And then finally, when it comes to SafetyHQ at least, is incident reports. Now, I know the focus of this is really on preventing injuries and best practices for keeping the job site safe. But, on occasion, those things will slip through the cracks and we still might have an incident or an accident. We want to be prepared to handle that quickly and efficiently as we go. It's a stressful time for everybody, your foreman, your teams, your groups collectively. There's a lot going on. We want to keep this as straightforward and simple as we possibly can. In this case, with incident reports, we're going to do it the same way as forms. Big yellow button. And I want my foreman to just go ahead and do location, worker involved, details, maybe take a photo or two, and that's it. I don't want them digging into the deeper details of that. And as soon as they complete this section, that will automatically send a notification off to my team. So maybe that's your safety team, maybe that's executives, owners, whoever you want. You can set that notification to go off to the team. And then those people, maybe the back office, what have you, can review photos. You can actually include medical documents in here as well, too. You'll see location, worker information, and details that the employee collected. But then on here too, you'll see classification, days away from work, treatment information, root cause analysis, witness statements, all the stuff that maybe you don't want somebody in the field collecting. You want to put that on the back office and make sure we get a nice, thorough, and complete documentation of this incident. So hopefully you don't have a ton, but all those incidents will be categorized here on the right-hand side by date, time frame, classification, what have you. You can report on this as well. So if you do want to see, a little trend analysis on what types of issues or incidents we've had, what crews they're coming from, what types of accidents or what the causes are. A lot of data here to help you make good decisions and continue to prevent injuries, accidents, and things like that as we go. And then this actually goes all the way through to complete your OSHA 300 as well, too. So really a complete system from beginning to end. We want to make this as simple as easy to use to be really non-intrusive for your labor in the field, make it accessible for them, and keep them on task for what they need to do. That's a little overview of SafetyHQ and how we can kind of prevent a lot of accidents, how we can use a lot of these tools to keep the team focused on what they need to do. And I guess with that, my contact information is going to show up here shortly. But if you guys have any questions, this is a good time for us to go through and review those items as we go too.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Looks like we're having some technical issue. We'll get that. Perfect. Yeah, we'll get that contact information there. And then that's just the Q&A. I was going to say we might be able to pull my contact information too. But either way, that'll get us all to the same place as we go. We already got some questions that have kind of popped in here. I know to be, mindful of time, we don't want to go too far, but I'll try to get to as many as I can. And again, if you do have individualized questions, we can help you with that. Shoot us an email, contact us however you like. But our first question here is from Thomas. So, sorry, Thomas, before I get to your question, I was told to mention for those of you that are on Foundation, our Converge 25 is coming up here October 6th through the 9th in Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. So for attending this presentation today, you guys will get a $300 discount. I'm assuming based on reading this, it's $300 discount using this discount code. So if you see this here, C25 $300 EB, use that if you're planning on going to the user conference. If you're not sure and you decide later, again, that's a nice little discount towards the user conference. That's for those of you guys that have not been to the user conference. I'll be there. We can say hello, but it's a great place to track on any of our tools, right? So if you want to get a deeper dive into SafetyHQ usage and you want to talk about that, great. If you want to get into Foundation, if you want to learn about some additional products, that's a great piece too. Vegas is always a great place, but I always say with these things, the biggest benefit is meeting peers in the industry. Whether it's, hey, I need somebody who could do this type of work in this, this specialty trade in this area. The networking is fantastic, and then in that too, you'll also learn a whole bunch of things that you might not have thought of. So maybe it's a best practice and something on how somebody uses SafetyHQ, or somebody job costs this appropriate item in Foundation, whatever that might be. That's really where folks really see the benefit outside of all the classwork and obviously Vegas and what have you. That networking is really invaluable. So if you are thinking about going, it's a special discount code that we have here for you. So just as an appreciation for stopping out on this webinar and going from there. Thomas, sorry, I know I was starting in on your question and then I got distracted myself there too. But one of the questions is, can employees be activated, inactivated, and reactivated? Yes. Again, just as a question there too, we don't charge per user license. It's a company license. If you're using Foundation, great. It's going to be an automatic two-way sync. So if an employee is inactive in your accounting system, they will be inactive in Foundation. Or inactive in Foundation, they'll be inactive in SafetyHQ. If they're reactivated in Foundation, they're reactivated there. If you're not, if you're using something else, not a big deal either too. Those inactive employees don't go away. What they will do is they won't shop or they won't show in the drop downs or things like that as you go. So it'll make it easier to use. They're just kind of hidden. And then if you didn't ever need to pull up that employee's history, whether it's the Toolbox talks that they attended, incidents, accidents, JHAs, all that, you still have all that employee history, even if they leave you. But it's not clogging up your day-to-day processes and procedures as well, too. We got a couple more questions. I'm going to work through those, but I am being reminded too, there's going to be a quick poll after Q&A. Probably get to 3 or 4 more questions, and you can kind of go from there as well too. But there is going to be a poll for there as well also. So Chris is asking, we don't really do a lot of, I'm kind of giving some color here, Chris, but don't do a lot of types of forms and things like that, but there are just some components of the software that I need. In this case, he's just looking for Toolbox talks. This is very flexible. We can do some custom pricing on this. We can organize it, and we can kind of break the system up based on what functionality you might need. You know, if you don't need equipment items or if you don't need this or that, we can kind of customize and tailor the solution for you, both, you know, financially and both from like an actual usage perspective. So absolutely, Chris, we can do that. And I'll get to 2 or 3 more of these before we get to the poll here. I know I see 6 minutes kind of creeping in on me for the timing. From Bernard here. Bernard is asking me, how can I, okay, I'm kind of summarizing here, Bernard, as well, too, but it sounds like you're asking about giving different roles and permissions to groups, and absolutely you can. So if you want, you know, your safety administrator to have full access, maybe you just want your foreman or crew leader to only have access to particular items and not everything. That's very common too. Maybe just your everyday employees, they're seeing their certifications and SDSs. They're not seeing maybe everything in total. So yes, however you want to organize that, that's not going to impact your cost. I know a lot of softwares will kind of structure it that way. We don't. We try and make it really simple and easy. So really whatever fits best for your team is kind of how we want to organize and align that software. And I'll get to 2 more. This one's from Sylvia. So Sylvia is asking on here, can I use this in offline mode? Yes. That's really big. If you guys are using, if you guys are working on projects kind of maybe in the sticks or what have you, this works in offline mode and online mode, fully available in English and Spanish, iPhone, Android, tablet, what have you. But what it will do specifically for offline mode is this will cache all of the information if they complete like a site inspection or a JHA. It caches that all and then on the device, and then as soon as they return to cell phone service or internet or whatever, that will, you know, sync up with the product as a whole too. So you got a lot of flexibility there, regardless of where your work takes you on SafetyHQ. And with that, I think I have time for one more. I'm sorry for Jeremy, Tom, Mary, Bernice, a couple of these questions that I can't get to. Please feel free to reach out after the call. I'd be happy to connect with you in any way that I can. But the last question here from Mary Ellen is, how long does it take to get SafetyHQ started? And that's a good question. I'll kind of add some things to that as well. But typically about a month to get SafetyHQ up and running. You can be using some components such as like Toolbox talks in as early as like a week or 2, right? So a month is probably everything all in, and that depends on your complexity, all the things that you might need from there too. But yeah, it's really going to depend. You'll get a dedicated trainer. I mentioned earlier that they all have their OSHA 10, OSHA 30. They're all living in this software every day. For the most part, they're all based out of Cleveland, Ohio here. So you're going to get somebody domestic. We'll help you. We have hours, even if you're on the West Coast. Our hours are fully inclusive of that. So past 5 o'clock on the West Coast, we're 8 to 8 or 7. Yeah, 8 to 8 East Coast time as we go from there too. But the point being is there are employees. The support is from somebody here. You're not going to talk to somebody that supports 50 different softwares, located in a different country, not really familiar with the type of work you do or, the software that we're talking about. It's our employees, it's our team. That's no additional cost. That's all included as well too. So just give us a shout if you did have any questions after you're up and live. But as far as getting you live, you'll have a dedicated trainer that's going to help build this system to meet your needs, customize it to however you guys see fit, all that kind of stuff from there too. So with that being said, yep, I am being kind of shuffled off here. I know we're coming up against it from a time perspective. Please fill out this survey or this poll here. It really is helpful, so that way we can provide more information to you guys that's relevant. So yeah, I see. Okay, at least somebody listened to me. Thank you. Team buy-in with safety programming seems to be the big item here. But yeah, this helps dictate our additional webinars going forward. So any kind of feedback here is certainly helpful as far as knowing what we can produce for you and what we can provide for you in incoming webinars for the future. That being said, thank you guys. Yeah, keep those filing in here. Again, if you do have any questions, I will look forward to connecting with you after this call. And then, yeah, again, I know it's the summer, guys. I know this is kind of in the thick of it, but please, please, please don't forget about your safety. Don't let this kind of drop at this stage in the game. Here in Cleveland area, we've been in the 90s the last couple of days. I know everyone's probably pretty exhausted. It's really good to kind of keep this stuff top of mind, at least till we get to the end of here, during the busiest, hottest stretch of the year. But all year round, the guys really do notice if you're staying on top of these items as well. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it. This recording will be sent out afterwards. So if you did have any questions, you wanted to go back on some items, we'll send this to you. We'll send you my info as well too. But thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.